cool. What's good? God is good. I'm your host, J.DIDIT. Welcome to Thursday Therapies. This is a podcast for all creatives, rappers, poets, artists, activists, Sacramento community therapy session. Today I have Joshua, a Sac Town native. I met Joshua on the poetry scene. He is an up and coming artist who loves creating and he loves his people. Joshua is out here making his mark with his music, kindness, and creativity. How you doing today?
I'm good. You added stuff to that.
I did. Welcome to Thursday Therapies.
Thank
I
you.
had to put a little bit of twist on it.
Yeah, that was
what I know about you.
that was sweet. You
Yeah,
added stuff to
yeah.
that. You text me or DM me and you were like, send me a short bio, and
Yeah.
I'm not really good at like bios or intros, so I was like, I'll just like 2 sentences. You threw stuff in there about the kindness and stuff.
Absolutely.
That made my
of
day.
course. Yeah, no, definitely. I try to, see people for who they are and, make sure that I shout them out here on this Thursday Therapies because we all need love.
I appreciate
We
you.
all need love. So, how you doing today? How's your week going?
Man, my week is going amazing. Actually, I'm doing pretty good. I would say my week is going amazing. Like nothing, I guess, out of the ordinary has gone on this week. I'm just super grateful. Like I'm just trying to be grateful more
Right.
lately. So just really grateful for the opportunity to like wake up and the
Yeah.
opportunity to like, ooh, excuse me, and the opportunity to like go to work. Even on days where work could be rough, like I'm still grateful to have a job.
Those are blessings.
Yeah, they are
Those are
for real.
blessings, for
Yeah,
sure.
so just grateful.
Yeah,
Grateful.
no, I love that. Grateful. Yes, yes, yes. So, as you know, Thursday Therapies, this is a discussion on mental health. I just want to ask you a couple questions, get your outlook, and just, roll with the punches and see where we go
Sure,
on this podcast.
for sure.
So, when did you become aware of mental health and how old were you?
Oh, dang, you coming out with like that's the first question. I say I first became aware of like my own mental health needs probably like my senior year of high school maybe. Like I don't know, some haven't. I like okay, so I'm 28 now. Um I like to tell people when I get questions like that, like um I feel like we have moments in our lives where things sort of just click, you know?
Mm.
Like whether that be based on experience. For me, a lot of it was my parents instilling lessons in me,
Yeah.
and I didn't really understand those lessons until I got to a certain point in my life, and I was like, oh, that's what my mom was talking about, or that's what my dad was talking
Mm-hmm.
about. So I just got to a certain age and it just sort of like clicked. Like senior year of high school, I remember growing up as a kid, I was dealing with a lot of stuff at home, and it was manifesting in the way that I was like in school. Like I was distracted, not able to focus on my studies, so my grades were suffering. I was having a hard time building relationships with other kids, and I wasn't very good at socializing. And I had a lot of anger,
Mm-hmm.
so I would get in a lot of fights when I was a kid. Got suspended from school like a lot, like a lot. My parents were really concerned, thinking I was going to be expelled and not be able to complete my studies at a young age. And then I left public school freshman year of high school to do independent study. And while I was doing independent study, the thing that was cool about that, I had educators who were in a position where they could give me a more personalized experience.
Mm-hmm.
So they were really focused on my needs as a scholar and as a young man growing up. They were able to check in with me. The classroom wasn't crowded. It was like on a given day, 5 of us at a table. And I got to take the work home with me and work on it at my own pace, so I didn't feel like I was being rushed. I had the opportunity to actually spend time with kids like outside of the like structure of school,
Right.
you know? So I was able to improve my relationship building skills. And then senior year of high school, I said, I want to go back. I feel like I'm ready, so I want to go back to public school. And I went back to public school, and I just had like, it was like a really turbulent school year for me. Like a lot of stuff was going on. And I just kind of had a moment of self-reflection, I guess, where I was wondering like, why do I feel like this
Right.
about these things? You know what I'm saying? I think the real wake up call for me, I had a English teacher. I shout him out all the time. My English teacher, Mr. Kaplan, when I was going to Rio into high school. My grandmother had just passed away, and I was going through it because she and I were really close. So I was coming to school. I was wearing like the same thing. I didn't really feel the urge to like change out of my clothes. I was wearing like the same basketball shorts every day. I was like not high grade, but like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like I was just getting good grades
High
basically.
achiever.
Yeah, like a high achiever. and I just stopped turning in work. I stopped like talking so much in class, and he called home and he was just like, hey, like I noticed Josh isn't really himself lately. I just wanted him to check in and see if something was going on. And that led to a conversation my parents had with me where they checked in with me, and then I was like, oh, like I'm not feeling good. Like something isn't right. You know what I'm saying? So probably like 17 years old was the first time I had like I'm so sorry, my throat is super dry. But so like 17 years old was like the first time I had realized that I was having an experience where I felt sort of like depressed. Um, and you know, my grandmother had just passed away, so naturally that could cause that.
Right.
But it was just in the way that it was coming out, like in my outward appearance and the way I was interacting with people.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't used to. I wasn't used to not wanting to do things. I wasn't used to not wanting to try and struggling to get out of bed. So it was like, you know, my parents came to talk to me and they were like, hey, we got a call from your English teacher and we want to know if everything is okay. And I was like, I don't think everything is okay. And so that was a conversation that we got to have. And like, I'm really grateful for my parents. Like they tried their best while I was growing up. And my mom especially did what she could to like keep me connected to like psychiatrists and therapists and stuff like that. So um yeah, she already kind of like knew what to do. Like they just kind of like leaped into action when they could tell that I was like going through it. And just from then on, I've just been really hyper aware of myself and my state of emotion, my state of being. And I'm just like a huge advocate, like working with other black kids in public school systems. I'm just a huge advocate for focusing on one's mental health. You know, like it's really important, especially in the black community. It's not something that gets talked about.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's part you've answered part of my question because my next question was how did your family handle those issues? And you said that your parents jumped right in. They knew exactly what to do. That's amazing because a lot of people don't really have that.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel similar to what you went through. Like I had gotten a lot of fights in high school and I had a lot of stuff going on also. And once I was 18, I felt like, why do I feel this way? Something feels off. I felt very similar to the way, you know, I don't know exactly how you're feeling, but the way you describe it is like, I felt the same way, you know, I was thinking the same way, like, why do I have these feelings? You know, what's wrong with me? I always thought, what's wrong with me, you know?
Yeah.
But I didn't have somebody there to jump into action, you know? My mom didn't really understand mental health and wasn't really able to, you know, jump in and be like, you need this. You know, I did get mandated and have to go to counseling and therapy because of the fighting and, you know, getting in trouble and doing other things, but not because of the care of my mother. It's not that she didn't care, it's that she didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah,
that's dope that you had your parents
there. I'm super lucky, like super privileged that I had parents who were, I want to say, well off enough to be able to have I think that's something that doesn't get mentioned enough, is that like some people just can't, like even if they want to explore like what's wrong, some people just can't, like they can't afford it or they have no access to it. My parents worked in real estate when I was younger and they were really successful in what they did. So I never grew up, I mean I had my own struggles of course, but as far as the way certain people struggle with certain things, like needing like housing or like needing food, stuff like that, that wasn't very much a struggle for us. Like there were times in my life where it was like kind of rough, but my parents, once they like kind of hit their stride in their own like business ventures, like we were good. So we had the access to be able to explore that. My mom was just trying to figure out, like, you know, what's wrong with my son? He always is fighting. He's always mad. I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with my son. And so like, but I would say like my family, as far as mental health, it's still like taboo though, which is funny. So I was talking to a friend about this recently. Actually, we were talking about like just like how bad the crack epidemic has actually, like, the damage that it's done to the family structure for like black people. Because my dad is from LA, so he like, without going into things too much and putting his like business out there, my dad's from LA and he's got his own experiences from dealing with that, like on the onset of the epidemic, you know what I'm saying? And when I was a kid, me and my dad had such a difficult relationship, and I didn't even understand until I got to a certain age. It's like, man, he was really struggling. Like, he was really struggling. And he didn't have nobody he could talk to. He didn't have anybody he could, you know, sort of. He didn't have nobody he could talk to. He didn't. Sorry, we're on camera.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Come on in. Sorry. Get your drink.
I'm sorry. We on camera. Thank you, baby.
It's all good.
My girlfriend just came in with a
Yeah.
smoothie. That was so like. I feel hella rude. I was like.
Nope. Go ahead.
I'm gonna talk to the camera real quick. Listen, I just did that because that was a bad look, but I was just trying to tell her like, wait, hold on, like I don't know, like I don't want to like mess up what we got going on right here. So I was like, hold on, baby, like this seemed really like this was a bad look, but I promise it was a gesture of love. Just letting y'all know it's a gesture of love, and I got my smoothie, so
Yes. Much needed.
much needed. My throat's getting dry.
Yes. So, your dad had to deal with a lot of issues coming out of LA.
Yeah. My dad had to deal with it was a good smoothie. My dad had to deal with a lot of issues coming out of LA that he didn't really have anybody he could talk to those things about. And the rest of our family, they don't really talk about those things. They kind of just like siloed themselves, like my extended family. Mm-hmm. So the dynamic was a little off, you know, compared to the dynamic I had in my house with my family.
Yeah.
So I totally lost my train of thought. I was just saying that you know, in the way that my parents didn't have that kind of access, that kind of support system, like I got to have that
Right.
When I was a kid through them. So
through them learning. So that's one of my questions right here is like mental health issues. How did your family deal with it in the home? Mm-hmm. And that goes back to your parents, how they had to deal with it out of the crack epidemic and having to move on from out of LA.
Yeah. Like dealing with it in the home. So it's really funny. Like I can talk about it now and in retrospect look at it in a really positive way, but also my parents were trying to figure it out.
Right.
You know, like when we're kids, we think our parents are supposed to have all the answers, I guess. Yeah. So it's like
they have superpowers
or something like
right.
they, you know, and it's like
or they know it all.
Or they know it all. Like they're the adults and they're supposed to like have it all figured out. But that's not the case. I'm an adult now. I ain't got shit figured out.
No, not at all. Far from it.
All. And I was like, I'm like sitting here existing as an adult. I'm like, man, there is no way in hell. Like if I had kids,
it's tough.
I'll be losing my mind.
You know, it is very tough, and that's why I always say, like, you know, when I talk about my mom, it's just like she did the best she could with what she has, you know, because now that I know, you know, raising my children and I'm doing the best I can, I'm sure I fall short in a lot of areas. Yeah. Also, but you know, I'm trying to break that cycle of, you know, how my mom raised me and how I raised my children, and hopefully, you know, it'll pass on through them. But it's just like, we're all trying to figure it out. We're all human, and we're all here just trying to figure it out. There's no handbook. I mean, there's a bunch of books you can read if you want to, but it's not the same.
It's not.
Really not the same.
It's not. It's one of those things you got to just like experience in real time.
Yeah.
And that's what was happening with my parents. They went through so many they went through so much trial and error. Right. So.
And that's what life is. Trial and error. Every day is trial and error.
Every day is trial and error. I was like when I was a kid, I used to have so much like I used to like be so mad at my parents because they were trying to figure it out, but I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, y'all are like whooping my ass and y'all are like making me go to church, do all these things I don't want to do. But they were just trying to figure it out. Like they got their son
trying to instill goodness into you.
Yeah, like really trying to raise a human being, which is a lot of hard work. And like, you know, like they probably could have whooped my ass a little bit less, but they still did their very best that they could, you know. And when it came to like mental health and trying to help me with what I was struggling with, when it came to like mental health and to like help me with what I was struggling with, like my parents used to think they could like beat it out of me or like pray it out of me. Like I have so much church trauma just from my parents like trying to like pray. Like I have my own relationship with church now, and I found my own relationship with like higher power. That's but beautiful. Like at the time I was so resistant to even wanting to, because it's like I think about church, I think about my parents like making me go to church because they're like, oh, you got anxiety, that's a demon, we gotta get it out of you. And it's like I feel like y'all not even hearing me though.
A lot of people still think that way.
A lot of people do think that way, and I'm like really would say to those people, like, please just like listen to your kids. Listen to your kids.
Yes, listen to your kids.
Listen to your kids, please. Yes. if your kids are telling you something is not right, listen to your kids and just have a conversation with them. Please do not make your kids go to church or try to pray a demon out of them if they're telling you that they're feeling depressed or anxious. It's going to make it worse.
Right.
And then when they turn 18, they're not going to talk to you.
Right.
Please don't do it. I don't have kids. I'm talking from the experience of a kid.
Right.
Don't do your kids like that.
We just want to support them and find the best ways to support the kids in any possible way. Absolutely. Yeah.
You're such a wonderful
and that's
parent.
Still part of the stigma too, is just people having those thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you up. Like,
no worries.
I just wanted to say that I see how you're such a wonderful parent,
Thank
Jamie.
you. I appreciate you.
You do such a beautiful job. Like, you're like it's so great to see people who just like love being a parent.
I do. I love kids.
Yeah.
They brighten my day up, especially my kids, especially my LaParish, my 8-year-old. She's so silly. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to be able to have this little I created this. God created this. I didn't create this. I had her. God created her. But to be able to have them and then watch them grow, and it's just amazing into great human beings.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's dope.
So, you do. Like you said, you have to listen to what your kids are saying, and if there's something off with your kids, you really have to just be in tune with them and pay attention to what they're saying, and that's just all through love, really. It's just through love. So
I feel like I can learn a lot from you. I want kids so bad. Like, I'm not gonna lie.
You'll have kids.
I hope so.
You will. The time will come.
I really hope so. It's tough being cause I love black women.
Yeah.
Like you see my girlfriend.
I love black women.
I love,
I love black men too. I love all people.
I love all people. I love all people. I love black people. I love my people.
Yes.
I love black women, and I know how difficult it is for black women to like want to have kids, like for black women who want to start a family, because it's like, besides all the like stigma that y'all carry and the things y'all got to deal with, like medicine and doctors do not care about y'all.
It is very difficult. Yes.
Yeah, like
that is another topic that we will have to pick back up on another time.
Yeah, we can't get too sidetracked.
No, that's a great topic. But so my next question is: did you ever have to witness any mental health disparities in your home or in your community as you were growing up?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anything that hits home close to you that you can remember?
Like right now, actually, my my younger brother, who I try to check in with as much as I can, and I could probably be better about it. It's just really hard to like keep checking in with people when you got your own life going on. But my younger brother, who I'm checking in with, or try to check in with, I'm sorry, I know he's dealing with something. Mm-hmm. I know he's got something going on, and like I'm not a professional, so it's hard when you feel like you don't have the skills or the tools to go to a family member and be like, hey, like I think something is going on, and I want to help.
Right.
But you feel like you don't really have the ability to do that. Right. I wouldn't say it's a disparity. I have a big family. Yeah. I have 7 siblings, so my parents are in their 60s now. My dad's almost 70, and they've been spending their entire lives raising kids. And I know they're tired. Like, I know they're tired, so I know that they would like to have their adult children be able to come and help, but it's like we all have our own lives that we're living too, so it's tough. And I want to, like with my younger brother, I want to be more active and helping him figure out what it is he's going through. Because he's not getting the same level of attention that I got when I was younger, because there was less of us.
It definitely is different. It definitely gets different because I'm the baby of the family.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot less.
There's a lot less. Like, I'm the middle child, so like being the middle child, and at a point in time, I was the youngest. And I had my 3 sisters before me, and so like my sisters are growing up. They were like teenagers and adolescent before my younger sister Lillian, who came next. No, it's hard. Was it my brother Leviticus or was my sister Lillian? It's hard to keep track. Like, okay, so it's Natasha, Nicole, Jasmine, me, Leviticus. So my brother Leviticus was next. And then it was my sister Lillian. They were like really close. So it was like at a time I was the youngest, and I was just like, man, why they get to, it's like my parents don't even like look at me. They don't even look my way. It seems like, but really it was just like, my sisters were going through like puberty and stuff like that. Like they really needed that focus and that attention. You know what I'm saying? But now that my parents are in their 70s and they're tired, they're close to retiring. I just know that they just don't have that energy as much as they want to have it. They can't. You know what I'm saying? Especially because my younger brother, he's an adult now, so it's a little different. You know, just the mental health of adults, I think, should be taken just as seriously as kids, though.
Absolutely.
You know, so.
Absolutely, but like in our society, once you turn 18, you're on your own.
Yeah.
You know, so you're up to your own. You got to figure it out, and if you don't have that extra support, and it's difficult. You know, once you're left to your own. You know, and for me, with my family members, all I do is like I send a daily text to my family. You know, whether they're going, I don't know what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
I know everybody's going through their own issues because we recently lost my mom, but I just, you know, I have a poem, check on your loved ones.
Yeah.
And that's just it. You know, even if you don't have the skills or you don't know really how to handle everybody's situation, just checking on them and letting them know that you love them, that's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough because you did your part.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know, just because you said that, I'm gonna text my brother and I'm gonna check in on him. I'm gonna let him know I love him and I see him. I think it's hard to do that because it feels like, I don't know, like when you want to be there more for somebody, but all you can offer is like a check-in, it feels like, or at least speaking for myself, it feels like, dang, I don't really like I could be doing more right now. You know what I'm saying?
Could you? But could you? You know, you have to think about your own mental health. Like, really, could you? Like, where are you at? Because I feel the same way. Like, I've been going through a lot, my own, you know, and trying to rebuild myself and everything like that. And I give what I can.
Yeah.
And that's what I can. I can give a daily text, and that's a lot more than anybody else does. So a daily text for me is a lot. That kind
of blew me when you said that right now, because I haven't even thought about it that way. I think it's just a lot of pressure I place on myself being the oldest brother. Yeah, like being, you know what I'm saying? Like, it seems like you have to be there for your family more than you are able to be. Yeah. But if you don't show up for them, things may fall apart. Like, that's how it feels. Yeah. So.
No, but you have to take you know, you gotta think about how am I today and what can I give? What do I have to give? Like, you can't, like, I'm learning that for myself just because I gave and gave and gave and gave so much to the point where I lost everything. Yeah. Everything, including my dignity. Yeah. You know, I was out there doing things that I shouldn't have been doing, and I can't do that anymore. Now, today, I have a daily text. That's what I can give. Yeah. I may not talk to you on a daily basis. I may not see you, you know, maybe in 6 months, but you'll still get that daily text. That's what I can give. Yeah. So. I'm
about to start sending. I'm gonna go through every.
Just so they know, I do love you. I do care about you. You know, and I'm here for you. And I think this is what I can give. Yeah. For today. Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
I still love you. You're my family. You know, we're all going through shit. Yeah. And we all, you know, it might be out of your scope to be able to go and give him the help that he needs, but at the same time, just let him know that you love him. That's enough.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna text my brother too. It's hard with your siblings, especially when you used to live with them as well. Yeah. Cause you want them to understand, hey, I have a life I'm living right now. Yeah. And I know they can't see things from my perspective on a daily basis, but it's really like, man, I'm working. I'm trying to keep a roof over my head. You know what I'm saying? It's a struggle. Like, I have aspirations to want to start my own family. Like, this wonderful woman I'm with who just brought me this.
Yes. This you're such a beautiful family. Yeah. I'm for it. I'm all for it. I never even knew that's what it was, but I'm all for it.
Well, you know, I'm just, you know, I try not to be all out here with my, you know what I'm saying?
Right. But that right there is beautiful. Beautiful. So let me go to the next question.
For sure, yeah.
So, do you feel like the world's understanding on mental health has changed since you first became aware of mental health?
Yeah, I'd say so. I'll say this. Well, it's hard to speak on. That's a good question. Because I can't speak on the entire world. I guess I can only speak on the way that I see things from my position in the world. Yeah. And it's like, from the way I see things, I think that the conversation and the stigma around mental health has certainly trended positive. Yes. When before people would talk about mental health and it would get written off or pushed to the side, treated as if it's not a real struggle. Right. Now we see it differently than that. But I do think there are places that we can still do better. Absolutely. I think there are people that still, inevitably, when the conversation shifts around how we see mental health, people are going to fall in between the cracks.
Right, always.
You know, and we're going to have to continuously shift the way that we see it to allow those people into the space also, so that we don't just keep having, you know, we keep pushing these boundaries further to be able to have this discussion, then the margins will grow.
Yeah.
Or the margins change and other people end up in those margins. So we're going to have to get to a point, I think, I don't know if it's really possible, but hopefully we get to a point where there aren't any margins.
Right.
And everybody can be included in that. I think that the conversation around men's mental health could be different. I think the discussion around the mental health of like trans people and queer people could be different for sure. Right. I think we need to stop weaponizing mental health against one another. Absolutely. The conversation around people who, I have a close friend of mine who deals with, I won't say what he lives with, but I will say he has to take medication. Mm-hmm. And I just think that not enough people offer understanding when he has an episode and he needs support. So I think that we are better when it comes to mental health. I think we're better about the way that we treat anxiety and depressive. Yeah. I agree. The depressive diagnosis, but other parts of mental health is still a conversation. Like we still have to bring that into the conversation. Yeah. You know, it's a really broad subject.
Definitely. I think it's changed since I became aware of it also, but it's still a long way to go.
Yeah.
It's definitely still a long way to go. So, let's see. Do you think that bringing mental health awareness in our community will help stop the stigma in the Sacramento community?
I think the awareness of mental health is going to be a byproduct of ending the stigma rather than it being the other way around. Yeah. I think collectively we're all I'm an optimist, so I feel like I believe collectively the things that we talk about when it comes to not just mental health, but all the things that need more focus and attention, I feel like we're all going to get there at some point. And then when we get there, like there won't be a stigma anymore. It'll just be part of like what it is. I always say it is what it is. I used to have a friend, or not used to have a friend. My friend used to tell me when she would hear like men say it is what it is, that's just our way of like putting our hurt into words, but not specifying it, not identifying it. So I would say it is what it is when it's just like I'm hurting from something, but I don't really want to talk about what it is that's hurting me. Right. I'm just like, it is what it is. But recently I had a shift in perspective where now I take things for what they are. And I just accept things for how they are. And I say to myself, it is what it is, as in, if I can't control it, I can't change it.
That's life changing. It
is what it is. And that's okay.
Right.
It's okay for it to be what it is.
Right.
So I think that right now, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But at some point, that won't be what it is. And that'll be good too.
As long as there's growth.
As long as there's room for growth, absolutely. And I think there's lots of room for growth. Like the encouraging part, the optimistic side of me sees the room for growth as what's like what I love about it being what it is right now. Yes, like it might not be in the place we want it to be in, but there is room for growth.
Absolutely.
And that's always beautiful.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is a question that ties into what you've already discussed with me. Is do you believe in seeking outside support therapy for yourself, and do you believe it? Do you believe in it? Like, do you trust it?
Oh yeah. I'm a Sac State student, and shout out Stingers up. Stingers up. Yeah. Shout out to my therapist, man. Man,
you're like the second or third person on here in my podcast you've done therapy on campus.
Yeah, they have
I've been there.
They have such a great Sac State.
Support.
Such a great support. I would hope so, as much as tuition is there. But I'm saying like their whole health facility, like their facilities in general for your personal health are so good. The wraparound services are so good, easy to use, accessible.
Right there on campus, in and out. Right?
In and out. Yeah, no. And I have a therapist who's up there. Shout out my therapist, man. I haven't seen him in a minute, but he's just so like, therapy is really just like having a conversation with somebody.
This is Thursday Therapies.
This is therapy,
Thursday Therapies, yes.
Precisely.
self-awareness, absolutely.
Precisely.
You can walk out the door feeling 100 times better.
I already do. Just being in here, but precisely that. Like, therapy is just having a conversation, and I was a little resistant to seeking outside support, especially because I've sought it out before, and then it didn't really work out when it didn't really work out when I went to I used to be with like Ellicott Health Centers, and they assigned me to a therapist, and the therapist just didn't really seem. I don't know. There was like a wall. You know what I'm saying?
And that's where a lot of people get it twisted, is because just because you're assigned to a therapist, you think that you have to show up for them, and then if it's a horrible situation, then you don't want to go back because you're like, oh, that stuff's garbage, it doesn't work. But no, I always say, and I really stress this on the show, is that, or anywhere, is that, if the first therapist doesn't work, then, go ahead and advocate for yourself and find a new one.
Yeah.
Like, you definitely really have to shop around, and go with your gut. If it doesn't feel right, then you have the right to get a new therapist. You don't have, just because you're assigned something doesn't mean that you have to, because you're the boss of your health.
Yeah.
You're the boss of who you are. Just because insurance assigns you to somebody, you always have the right to choose something different.
Yeah, facts. And so that's kind of where I was at a certain point. I was struggling to find a therapist. I went through Ellicott Health Centers and it didn't really work out. So then I told myself, okay, maybe it was just where I'm looking for a therapist.
Yeah.
Maybe I have to be more specific about the kind of therapist I want.
Yeah.
So then I try to find myself a black therapist. Yeah. And I know a couple of black people who I consider my mentors who hold doctorates that do therapy. So I reached out to them first and I said, hey, I want to be able to get these services. And unfortunately, my insurance wasn't compatible with their services. So then I said, okay, I'm going to compromise and find something in the middle. Like, I want a therapist. As long as it's a person of color, I think that might be the best thing for me, because then I can have candid discussions with them about stuff I experienced that they'll be able to relate to. And then that's how I ended up at Sac State. So yeah, finding outside sources, it might be a little bit of, you gotta try something here and there, and you might not be successful.
It can be discouraging at times.
It could be discouraging, but I would encourage whoever is looking for services, keep at it. Because when I found mine and we locked in, it's like, because I make music, and one of the things that people told me early on was find you a producer and lock in with that producer, because you don't want to sound like everybody else, right? It's not going to work for you the same way it might work for someone else.
Right.
So find a producer who can tailor your sound to be more unique and lock in with them. And it's true to you. Yeah. So when you put out your art, you put out your truth, it's who you are. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And in the same way, you find a therapist that works for you and lock in with that therapist.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work with the first couple, that's okay. That's part of the process. That's part of the therapy.
It is part of the process. And I say this too, is that sometimes you'll outgrow your therapist. Even though you're locked in and you guys are cool and everything is going, you might outgrow them, and you might need to find somebody new. It's just it's an up and down roller coaster, therapy and mental health, and healing is just a lot. It's a lot.
Healing is a
But you
practice.
really got to advocate for yourself. If you feel something isn't right and you need something different, then try something different.
Try something different. Absolutely. Ain't nothing wrong with that either. That's what we have options for anyway. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Nothing is ever going to be just like you give it a first go and it's going to work perfectly that one time you gave it a try. Like, some things are, but not always.
Yeah, you outgrow it. Definitely outgrow it. Okay, so on to my next question is, what are some coping skills you use to get you through the day?
Oh my God. Writing. I write a lot. I write so much. Going outside, getting sun. Basketball used to be a really good coping tool for me. I haven't played in months. I went for the first time today. I was so gassed. I went for the first time in like 6 months, literally. I was so tired, but it was like fun. So yeah, any sort of physical fitness really. It doesn't have to just be basketball, but whatever physical fitness. It's like a practice in getting to know yourself.
Yeah.
I know what I like, and I know what things kind of pull me out of what I'm struggling with, like video games and spending time with my friends. It used to be smoking. I used to smoke a lot. But I will say the problem with that, using that as a coping mechanism, I think when you use substances, they kind of just like make you not aware of what you're actually feeling.
Yeah.
Instead, they make you feel something else. And it's sort of like, it's like on top of what you're already feeling. You get what I'm saying?
Right. If you're not like doing it every 5 seconds, like addicted.
Yeah.
That's part of mental health, and it's just a whole another roller coaster.
It's a whole other, and that's not to knock. It's not a knock on anybody who uses like I used to smoke weed like to really just kind of relax and like get myself through the week. But then I realized what an effect it was having on me because I wouldn't be thinking about and accepting the feelings that I had and processing it. Instead, I was just like, okay, let me get this quick like dopamine hit, not dope hit. I don't do dope, but like a quick, just that. Like that quick like high make me feel good, and then when it went away, those feelings would still be there. And then it's like I don't really want to confront these because I know I could just smoke and not have to worry about them, which isn't good. That's not a good way to practice using substances.
But that's good because you're so aware, you're in tune with yourself, and to be able to do that, because a lot of people, and I've done it before, I'll fall back into an addiction real fast.
Yeah.
So
I'm a fixator.
Stay away from all of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm a fixator big time. I was just talking to my girlfriend about it last night. We were recording a song, and I was super focused on it. And I get this like really obsessive, like I need to like do this song, like I need to do this music because I love music. So I was just telling her like I get really fixated on things because like I don't know, like especially when it's music, like it's like I really I'm using this as I guess an example, but this isn't really good. But it's like I really fixate on it, and like I've been doing so many gigs. I've been doing a lot of like local open mic stuff.
Hosting and everything. I see you out there in the streets.
I've been all over the place. That's like it's a fixate though. Like it's part of the coping. It makes me feel good to be around my people, and it makes me feel good to perform alongside so many talented people. And it helps my mental.
You have to have some balance though, because I was just talking to my therapist about this the other day. And she asked like, so what are you doing, when you get down or when you're starting to stress out or feel anxiety? And I'm like, I go out and do open mics, and I'm working on my podcast, and I fill it with other things. But then at the same time, then you start getting anxiety. I start getting anxiety because then I have to feel the pressure of I gotta be here, I gotta be there, I gotta be here, I gotta be there, and I just fill it up with too many things. So you gotta really find that balance.
Yeah, you do.
Balance in between.
I'm so glad you said that. One of the like best lessons I got from my therapist, he asked me a similar question. And I was telling him about all this stuff I do, and I basically, in so many words, was just saying I like distract myself if I'm going through something. And he was like, "You gotta remember, you're a human being, not a human doing. So just give yourself some time to sit and just be, and accept the emotions that you're dealing with, and tell yourself it's okay to be feeling those emotions, because that's really what we get into sometimes. We tell ourselves, "Oh, I'm not okay, and it's not okay for me to not be okay," but it is okay to not be okay.
It is okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And I have to remind myself too, like the feelings. Sometimes, like I was feeling so bad the other day, and I just like wanted to scream, and I'm like, it's okay to scream, and it's okay, but it'll pass. And I have to remind myself that feeling will pass. When you feel really down, it's gonna pass. Brighter days.
I just had a night like that, just like 3 nights ago. I was like lying awake and I couldn't sleep. And I started crying while I was in bed. Like I was just having such a rough time, and I was crying. And, like I just had that moment, probably like a good 15, 20-minute cry. And then I was like, okay, I'll be okay. And, those feelings, they'll come and go. But that's the best part is like, they go. I don't anticipate them coming. I know that they're coming, but I don't anticipate it. But I anticipated that it's going to go. And then I know that I'm going to be feeling a lot better. And, man, I love crying. Crying is just the best. Sometimes, yeah. You got to get it out. Yeah.
So my next question is, do you believe, which I know you believe, in having a creative outlet? Do you think it's important for managing your mental health, and why?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that every person should try to journal at minimum. If you're not going to draw, or if no other creative outlet speaks to you, dance or, however, find your creative outlet. But if none of those speak to you, I think at minimum, everybody should give themselves a chance to try and journal.
Yeah. For sure.
I've had some rough days, and people used to tell me, it's funny because even as a writer, like somebody who writes songs and somebody who writes poems, when I'm feeling something, I don't write, or I did not write, and I didn't make that a practice until very recently. But it's like, I've had days where things were weighing on me super heavy. You just write all that stuff down on paper. It could be a run-on sentence. You could put it in your notes app on your phone really fast. You just dump all that stuff out. You just feel so like, you know, like you don't feel debilitated by it anymore. I really think people should try and write. It's just important to just, you know, if nobody else is gonna, if you feel like nobody else is around for you to talk to and is gonna understand where you're coming from, you could write and just put whatever shit you want.
So like the journal is like another therapy, like
Yeah.
a therapist. You're just telling all your feelings to the paper.
Yeah.
Pouring all your feelings out on the paper instead
With,
of to one-on-one.
and without fear of judgment too, which is the best part.
Right.
I think people are scared they're going to be judged if they talk to a person about how they feel.
Right.
You put that shit on paper, you don't even have to show anybody.
You can burn it up.
You could burn it up. I've done that so many times. I've written like letters that I have and like not sent them and just threw it away. Nice. Or I've like gone in my notes app. I've gotten into like arguments with people I really care about. I'll go in my notes app and write everything that I want. No. Yeah. No, but it's real. Like
right.
It's
what you really want to say.
Yeah, that's why I had to stop because I was like, oh shit. No, but it's real. Sometimes like you have those moments where we get upset and we want to say something, and it's good to have self-control in the moment because you don't want to say something you can't take back.
Exactly.
But if I'm feeling, words are very powerful. But if I'm feeling a certain way about something, I've gone in my notes app and just wrote out just like whatever and then deleted it right away. And I'm telling myself like, if I write this and I delete it, I cannot bring this back into this space. Like this cannot exist in this space with this person again. And it has saved so many relationships for me, to be honest. That's not to say that I just excuse, you know, like if I'm talking to somebody, like I'm cool with conflict, like we can work it out. Right. But at the same time, it's like, I know I'm a human and I might say some shit I don't want to say and I can't take back. Right. I'll put it on a piece of paper and delete it, and neither of us will ever have to see it ever again, you know?
That's powerful. That's dope. That's dope you're able to do that. I mean, I do that now. Before I was just, my mouth was reckless. Very reckless.
Super reckless.
Very reckless.
Listen, yes. That was something I had an issue with for the longest time. And then somebody told me, you know, you said something to me 2 years ago. I remember we got into it, and then they were like, you said something to me 2 years ago, and it's stuck with me ever since. And I've just been scared to like interact with you because I don't want to like feel that again. Yeah. I was like, damn. And then I read the 4 Agreements, and that's so good. It's such a good book. So good. It's such a good book. Like it just like changed my life when I read that book, to be honest. I read the 4 Agreements, and it talks about how words live and have a life of their own, and there can be curses or they can be blessings. And I was reading that book. I was like, damn. So that person, that was a curse. And we couldn't even have a genuine relationship because they were scared of, you know, like, because of something I said, and it made them think that was the type of person they were, you know, so, words are strong, especially because we're poets.
Strong. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So, what can you tell our listeners to encourage them to check their own mental health, you know, check yourself, check your mental health, so what can you tell them to encourage?
Read. Please read. I'm a huge advocate for reading. Not only because it's like a really enjoyable thing to do, but there are people who have existed before us and who will exist after us, who have gone through what we're going through, and they've written books about it. And it's basically a guideline for how to deal. Yeah. Like you don't have to reinvent the wheel, go through this all by yourself. You just read a book. Like I read Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. That book changed my life in a way that I didn't expect. Like the first time I read that book, it was like somebody was talking directly to me about the things that I was struggling with. And they are. They're coming out the books. Yeah, they real talk. I feel the same way too. Real talk. Like, read.
I haven't read in about a month. I probably should.
Yeah, reading books will like unlock things. I'm reading this book right now called The 4 Pivots, and I just read this chapter on belonging. And this is a little tangent, but it's like still kind of related to mental health because, you know, as a black man, I think about my state in the world all the time. Yeah. And the book, it was beautiful the way that the book put into perspective belonging and how we can dehumanize people because of how we're hurting. Right. So it was like in the chapter, what was being discussed was how I can't remember his name right now, but he does work with different police stations across the country, different trainings, like sensitivity trainings. Yeah. And he was struggling with that part of his career because he had lost friends directly as a result of police violence. And I was thinking about the way I interact with police, because I think about how angry it makes me that black men and black women and black people have been killed at the hands of police. Right. And, you know, I see a police officer out in public, I don't hesitate to make their job more difficult by just being rude to them. Yeah. Just generally being rude to them. But in in the book, it was challenging this notion of us perpetuating the same ways that we dehumanize people who we see as our oppressors, when in a lot of ways they're victims of the same system that we're living in also. And it really had me pause and think and challenge myself, because I realized I was dehumanizing folks in a way that I've been dehumanized, and people who look like me have been dehumanized. And that's not any steps toward real progress. Right. What we're doing is we're just continuing the cycle. Right. And that police officer, I know I'm not responsible for a police officer's actions, but what I realized is that police officer might internalize that interaction. And the next time they come across a black person, they're probably thinking, oh, he don't fuck with me anyway, so why should I treat him with any respect? Because I know I'm not going to get any.
It's a vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle. Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, read.
Yeah, read. Yeah, definitely read. Knowledge is key. Knowledge is key to set you free, definitely.
Yeah, now that's a bar. Knowledge is key to set you free. That's a bar.
Okay, so let's switch gears, talk about some bars.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to share? You want to read a poem? You got any music that you got?
That's a great question. I want to say yes, but I have to hold off. And the only reason why, so you know Sweet A. Yeah. Those are my guys.
I love them. I'm gonna see them tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there too, actually, because we're gonna be showing something new. But we're working on a lot of stuff together right now. Nice. So primarily the things that I have are all focused on this project that we're creating together. And it's gonna be super dope. I can't talk too much about it though, because it's very new. But I would love to like share a verse or something like that. Because we are rapping our asses off. I just can't though, because it's not.
Well, you got a poem?
I haven't written a poem in so long. Okay. Actually, music has been taking up all my time.
Okay, so that's my next question then. Do you have any you have projects working on? You said you had 1 million projects with Sweet A. You got some other projects going on. You've been hosting all around Sacramento.
Yeah.
This is gonna air on Thursday, so it's about a week. So do you have anything coming on? Not next week, but the week after. Anything going on? You wanna
I'm just gonna
plug in?
I would love to plug. Just keep showing up to these Sweet A shows. Yeah. Because as we're working out this collaborative project together, you might see me come out and we'll be showing some new stuff. I'm also working on my own project right now. It's another little mixtape. I just felt really inspired recently by some music that I heard. So that's going to be coming out very soon. Nice. And I'm working with another poet, Winter. Who I know you know, but Winter, and hopefully I can get her son Lil Winter on the track too. But
that's amazing.
That's gonna be dope.
I love the whole shout out Winter.
Shout out Winter, yeah. I love them so much. And then outside of that, I'm just gonna continue to host the Solidarity Summer Festival that's been going on at Broderick's.
Yeah, I missed it last Saturday. I was at another event. For one of my friends, it was his birthday party, so I was at that. It was dope.
It's all
they
good.
Had the whole stage and everything too. Still in the music scene.
Yeah.
No,
if you get the chance, you should pull up. They got an open cipher. Yeah. And I would love to see you on the mic. Absolutely. I seen you doing your thing at Flamingo.
Yeah. I'm trying to show up.
Yeah. I gave you your props on Instagram, but yeah, listen, if y'all ain't know, J did it. J be doing it, and J does it.
Right.
J didn't just did it. J does it.
Nice. So I mean that's about it. So where can people find you? Your artist name?
Four Sides currently. Artist name 4 Sides currently.
He's working on some tracks.
Formerly Incognito, but I changed that.
Right.
The reason why I had it as Incognito originally, I felt like my artist persona was something that was supposed to kind of hide who I am. I wanted something that stood out a little bit more, so I went with 4 Sides. So that's what it's at right now. No longer Incognito, because I'm not trying to be incognito anymore.
Good.
I'm trying to be like,
out.
I'm trying to be like outside. So yeah, Capital Cadence is something that's still happening. If y'all get the chance to pull up to Capital Cadence,
Yes,
we're
I
keeping
love
that
that.
going in memory of Al.
Nice.
And you can find me on Instagram. You can follow me at Four Sides Till I Die. That's Till I Die, like spelled EYE. Everything else is spelled exactly how it sounds.
Nice.
I post freestyles on there from time to time. I do project updates on there and post about what shows I'll be performing or hosting at. And shout out CMB Neighborhood Program as well. They're doing great work.
I went to their show last night.
Oh yeah, you
I
did?
sure did. Yeah,
Yeah.
they had a bunch of artists over there. Hayla V.
Hayla V. Shout out Hayla V.
Yeah, no, it was nice. It was in the backyard.
Yeah, I'm just like a huge fan of like everything happening in Sacramento right
Right,
now.
it's
Like
a
it's
lot.
beautiful. Yeah.
It is very beautiful. Yes, for sure.
Yeah, it's super dope. But yeah, tap in with CMB Neighborhood Program if y'all can.
Yes.
Tap in with me. I'm super accessible. I love talking to people.
Self design is the next up and coming to that whole spot. I love
Self design. Pull up.
I'm
Shout
gonna
out.
do a feature there on the first. That's for the poet open mic.
Oh, I gotta go there because I missed your last feature. So I'm definitely pulling up to that one on the first. I'm sitting front row.
Yes.
I got you.
Well, thank you. Check yourself. Check your mental health.
Check yourself. Check your mental
Hey.
health.
Thank you.
Whoop whoop.